Yo, 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 yo.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do the hello.
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 Welcome to this week's edition of the Wild Wild West Pod. Plenty to talk about today. Week one, full swing. We had a nice AFC West, well, nice for some, I guess, nice AFC West matchup in week one. Got to see, some rookies on display. I think I'm excited to hear, kind of what we all of our takeaways and notes and thoughts after our team's, week one outings. I'm obviously not Richie Richey, but me, Alex, at the Real Givens on Twitter. Here to my left, right, whichever way you want to work that. We have the Roberto. I'll let him or you guys read what he put under his name there. I'm sure some people in the chat and maybe Kenna will take a nice issue with that. And then below us, we have the mysterious Jack Kenna here representing the black hole.
Salute everybody. Salute nation. Hey, Anna.
Anna, good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Cool Kev.
Cool Kev. But yeah,
In our
guys,
fantasy league.
yeah, I got murdered in that league.
Yeah, you did.
yeah.
I saw that.
It doesn't help that me and Coach will go into this later, obviously, but it doesn't help. I went against the top scorer, the 142
That's
friggin'
true.
points. But it's neither here nor there. But yeah, guys, it's back, dude. Full swing. Week one in the books. We're already. This is what I love when we get to week one and we have, Thursday night football, Monday night football. It just seems like it's just like one day and then you're back into football. So,
Yep.
Already getting into week two tomorrow. I know we'll deep dive into it, but I guess I don't know. Is Richie gonna get on or?
I hope he's gonna join us at some point.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm running the show. I usually go last. I'm gonna talk about the reigning Super Bowl champs and our first week one game are the home topener, as we like to call it now.
That game was a game by an inch.
And I will say, I know, I cut the show off last time, but it went pretty much like I thought it would. So
That's
it came
right.
down. It came down to the wire. My biggest thing is I did not understand, why I didn't understand why the Ravens, signed Derrick Henry and then
Not use him.
like it wasn't even like the game really dictated, not running the ball, and they came out swinging from the gates. Came out swinging the first drive, home touchdown, kind of right down the field.
Yeah, it's crazy that Lamar got more rushes in the way of attempts, 16 versus 13
Right.
over Henry.
Yeah. I wasn't mad though. Lamar, I have him in like 3 leagues as my QB, so he did pretty good for me. But yeah, a great game all around. Ravens. Ravens are an excellent team. I think. Very much going to be in the fold of things. Chiefs. I thought we saw some good things from them. Kind of across the board. Still a little bit of. I would have liked to see a little more explosion, like explosiveness and deep shots and, kind of all the stuff that I talked about leading into this game. I like this new aspect to the offense. I would have liked to see a little bit more of it, but pretty dope when Xavier Worthy's first legit carry is an untouched touchdown to the house with the speed on full display.
Yeah.
And then he had another touchdown receiving as well. Pretty great to see. Oh yeah. Okay. I am hearing a little bit of that as well, but pretty great to see the rookie involved early. often a little bit, and I mean, pretty much produce and see all the athleticism and the speed that everyone talked about in full swing, from the jump. It was interesting. I thought interesting game in that the refs certainly had an emphasis of calling illegal formations on the offensive line.
Yeah.
First play of the game when they called it on Stanley, I said to my wife, I'm like, man, Jawan Taylor is in trouble if they're calling it on that guy. Which ironically, I think he had one penalty, but
it was a false start too. It wasn't even like an
yeah.
illegal.
It's the first game of the year, like first game for the whole league of the season. Like the officiating is always going to kind of impose a little more than they should or do. D said, order a pizza. A pizza is how you need. but yeah, I mean that it was interesting to see that component of the.
Look at Rich.
On Wednesdays.
Richie is in some undisclosed cave in the mountains, being held against his will. We'll go to our field correspondent, Richie. Man, too good. But yeah, I mean, 27-20 game went like I thought it would. Saw some good flashes from Worthy. Chiefs seemed to have a nice little Legion of Zoom going on. Kelsey, really quiet game, but I think that he's more in a load management type of narrative with him now, and that's why especially. And I mean they've made a point to go add these other pieces in the passing game so that it wasn't so one-dimensional. And honestly, you kind of got to see that in full display because Rashee Rice had the middle of the field open. I mean, it might as well have been a free throw in basketball. It was so easy because they had to honor Worthy on the outside, and just the speed component with that, and some of the things that they were doing lineup wise that they hadn't necessarily done in the past. But I mean, that wouldn't be how the Ravens played them last year when it was MVS and Tony and all those guys. Yeah, there you go, Kev. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, great
Maybe
game.
he was tired going out there hanging out with Swift.
Yeah, he definitely. Yeah, I don't know what he's done to his look. He looks like a young monk,
with that mustache and the shaved head
and the bangs and all. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, offensive, great to see Worthy. I would have liked to see a little more. It kind of looked like they got in a lull at some point, and it was like just playing to move the ball and not lose, but not really like be aggressive. I don't think they had too many empty drives, which is always a good thing. Defensively, I thought looked pretty well. Like Chris Jones is still Chris Jones. He very much made his presence known. Good to see Felix and DK Uzoma getting involved. Leo Chanel comes in as like which Kelsey calls him the Terminator. But big reason got to see why they let Willie Gay go, because he played lights out for being a third. This is a third or fourth year like not journeyman, but depth piece linebacker that they finally let take that step up. And I mean he was all over the place. Even got some edge rushing work in, and I mean did a really great job spying Lamar and kind of playing that Willie Gay type role. That's kind of the uber athletic tweener linebacker that can play the run but also play the pass. So great to see that. I thought they did a pretty good job on Lamar overall. He's still going to get it, but they did a pretty good job of containing him and nothing too crazy. Isaiah likely had a great game, but just came down to the toe.
Came down to the toe.
Because in all reality,
Lamar get you? I mean, shoot,
25, 25, 26, somewhere. He was up there. And I mean, in all likely, if he wasn't on the line, I mean, they were undoubtedly going for 2 and probably winning, and then we would have lost another home opener by 1. But that's maybe like Mahomes said, should have wore white cleats. But I mean,
that's a great response.
That's how the margin of error is, though, in these championship tier games. Like, it's going to come down to the last possession, who makes the last mistake, and that, not to really say that Likely made a mistake, but I mean the play before that, Zay Flowers is wide open, Lamar missed that. So
I'd argue Lamar missed Likely on the throw before that one to Flowers in the corner of the end zone.
He didn't. I mean, he definitely missed some throws, and it's like I said at the start. It was interesting that they kind of just totally went away from Derrick Henry and played the Chiefs the same way they did in the AFC Championship game. Although you could tell Lamar. I mean, I know they said it. I don't even know how many times. But, Chris Collins, right? Here's a guy who's taking control of the offense. But you could tell that Lamar has a little more input because there was so many damn bubbles to Likely, and then, he'd pull the ball. So, I mean, from the Ravens' perspective, you'd like to see a little more diversity with how they run things. But, I mean, I thought the Chiefs' defense played pretty well. Still kind of concerned about, that second outside corner. I mean, Trick McDuffie is absolutely a dog. He made his presence known, and like I said before, I mean, no restraints or worries about him taking over the Snead role, if you will, and kind of trailing the number one and playing physical and pressing at the line and getting hands on him early. Like, he did phenomenal with that. And at least in this game, I felt you couldn't tell there was a loss in McDuffie not playing in the slot. Like there, you couldn't tell that there was a huge, like, oh, we're missing a Snead type player. So it went good and bad, because there were other times, like the corners, I mean, they were like very close to getting a PI call, and it's like, do we really? I mean, is that really how we want to be? And I mean, it's not like the Ravens secondary or receiving corps is, all worldly. So I think that's definitely a concern moving forward. But at the end of the day, if Chris Jones is churning on all cylinders, and I mean, they're making the pass rush abilities that they have, I mean, you don't need to cover for that long. So for week 1, I thought it was a great opening ceremony celebrating the Super Bowl. Step phase 1 into the three-peat. Great to see a Chiefs win. Great to see Worthy kind of showing his skill set. Just excited to see how they kind of build off of this, and if the strong showing for him in week 1 is an indication that he's going to be more of a focal point of this offense, or if it's going to be kind of how Reed has done, previous polarizing rookies such as Tyreek and Hardman and some of these other guys that they brought in, where it was like very obvious that they have, 5 to 6 controlled touches in a game just to get them the ball. That's about it. So, I mean, that and the secondary are my 2 biggest questions moving forward, but really tough to not, not much to be upset about week 1 with the Chiefs.
What'd you think of your guys' run game? I know it wasn't like that necessary, because obviously Mahomes was kind of like dicing up, but
yeah,
I mean, Pacheco, 15 rushes, 45 yards, 3 yards of carry, not great. And then, I mean, besides the Worthy 21-yard rushing touchdown, that it really wasn't a
Anthony.
Dang, Rich.
Are you sure? Are we even sure that's Richie messaging?
Are we sure it's not his kidnappers?
Everything is good. I fine. Love you, Mom.
Yeah, so I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Like, do you think you guys are going to try to incorporate the run a little bit more moving forward, or do you think this is going to be kind of like how it is, really not so much of a run game, more Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it was effective enough. I think the run game. Very good. The dots are kind of sus, dude.
Yeah.
1 to 2 dots I can work with. 3, I don't know. I mean, I thought the run game though was effective enough. And there was times in the past where they've definitely lost games from totally abandoning the run. And I mean, Pacheco had 15 carries. Did he blow it away with those 15 carries? No, but I mean, he got a touchdown and he averaged 3 yards. That's about all you need, out of your running game. And it was enough, I think, to keep him kind of honest and have a better flow with the offense. And honestly, that's kind of how Reed does the run game anyways. It just, so happens that every once in a while Pacheco pops off some giant run because he runs like a Coke machine with legs. But but I mean, he still had some great flashes, like that one. I mean, very alert play when he rolled over the top of the 2 defenders and stayed up to get the first down. And that's kind of always the component that he's brought is, 70% of his carries are going to be, very unmemorable. But then there's that, 1 or 2 a game that you're like, man, that was a great play by him. So, I'm not too worried about the running game. And I think as the year progresses and the O-line progresses, it'll only get better. And that was the other, I feel bad now after just mentioning that as a former offensive lineman myself to not give some praise to Kingsley Sumatai.
What?
Yeah.
No, but the rookie, I forgot how to say it. But the rookie left tackle from BYU, I mean, he was a starter. He had a very solid game. I wouldn't say Joe Alt level. But
oh man,
but
you're teeing me up, Alex.
Yeah, we're getting there. But I mean, for a second round pick, there's a rookie. I mean, he had a great game in my opinion. Showed a few flashes of why he's a rookie, but I mean, coming into the draft, his pass pro is a strong suit, and I mean, he was very much an anchor on that offensive line in pass protection, which is great to see. Week 1, great to see with your rookie. I'm not going to act like the Ravens have like crazy elite edge rushers, but they don't have bad edge rushers, and they've always been creative defensive wise to get pressure. And the fact that he never seemed uncomfortable in any pass pro moment, and did pretty well with picking up stunts and working with Tooney to work those progressions and everything. So yeah, there we go.
That's a good one to have next year, Tooney.
But yeah, can't
That doesn't hurt. Oh, he's back.
He's back.
Richie.
But yeah, that's the Chiefs. So since we got Richie, maybe we talk about them Broncos, huh?
Talk about Bo Nix or Bo Picks, as it were.
Bo Picks.
Bo Picks.
Bo Picks. I like that.
I have no idea why you guys are attempting to bait me with that comment when I literally said exactly what was going to happen happened. Like the only thing you just did was say, Rich, you're right. And that's all I heard there. And thank you. You were correct. I was in fact correct. So yes, we're good.
Hell yeah. I mean, I literally just moved houses on Friday. And this past Friday, my internet has been delayed until tomorrow. I will be back in full force as of tomorrow with gigabit internet and everything good to go. It's just the ISP.
Got that fiber, dude?
I may or may not kill someone. I haven't decided yet.
Well, thank you for joining this episode of Wild Wild West Cribs. Richie's going to give us a tour now of his house.
We saw the basement.
But yeah, so Richie, floor is yours, man. What was your biggest takeaway from this Broncos game, or what are your thoughts?
This was exactly what I was concerned about. Like we literally, it's hilarious. It's like, hey, Rich, what do you think is going to happen? Well, I think Bo Nix is going to struggle a little bit because it's an NFL defense that he's going against, and he's going to make some bad choices. I think we should probably have started one of the other guys that's more familiar, let Bo Nix kind of like slow play his role into the NFL. And yet Sean Payton and the rest of the Broncos organization is, we're just going to let him suffer. Let's have fun. And let's appease the fan base that's been pissed off. Yeah. Like, let's just appease the fan base that has been like, we haven't had a starting quarterback in forever. It's like, well, I mean, like, there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. And I'm concerned that the owners may have actually overreached here. And this is what my actual concern is, which is when you're in a position where your ownership group is perhaps impatient.
Panthers.
Am I freezing up?
No,
you're good.
We were nodding with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're agreeing with you.
We were building your momentum to your point.
Okay. All right.
Building block up.
Look, I cannot control the hamster and how much it's fed here. Okay, that's the problem. And the hamster's running my internet. That's just the plain and simple fact. So, but my concern here is that I actually think that we made a mistake. I actually think that Bo Nix should have sat this game, sat against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and maybe come in, week 4, 5, or 6 after seeing what the game looks like on film, seeing what the game looks like in person, that sort of thing, because he didn't go against real NFL defenses. He went against fake ones in the preseason. And look, I am not one of those guys that's going to backtrack on what I said. He looked very good, maybe even the best out of all of the rookie quarterbacks during preseason from this year's draft, which is saying a lot, right? Because Caleb Williams was being touted as this like epic generational talent coming out of the draft.
Can't miss.
But yet, Bo Nix and Sean Payton seem to really mesh very well together in terms of what they wish to do. All of these things can all be true all at once. They can all be true all at once. Is Bo Nix might fit really well with Sean Payton, and we should not have played him right away. Like, those two things should not be seen as mutually exclusive comments. And I will go back to what all three of you said, that I was wrong, and that we should have played Bo Nix right away. Well, Bo Nix threw a pick into a Seahawks party in that last game that was worse than any throw that I saw Herbert make in his rookie season. And that's being generous there. And that's okay, because Bo Nix is not used to NFL gameplay.
So Ricky, you think it's more the ownership or Sean Payton that said, hey, you're going out there? Did you mention ownership?
I'm concerned that, like, you're dealing with a young ownership group, and I don't mean young from as in like a years old thing. I mean, like, they've never owned a professional sports team or a football team before, and they just don't know what they don't know. Like, let's be honest. Running a successful logistics company called Walmart,
a little different.
And yes, I also understand Walmart is a retail store, but like Walmart, for all of its benefits, is basically a logistics company. You need to get goods from A to B and do it on time and cheaply. Like, everything else is just gravy on the cake. So it's basically a logistics company at the end of the day in nuts and bolts. And so they are very good at that. And there is no knocking the fact that Walmart is not a successful company, because you have to be an idiot to say that it's not. It is billions upon billions of dollars for a reason. That's great. You can run things.
Billions?
However, that does not mean that skill set directly translates to a sports team or a franchise that is a completely different business in a different vertical. You need to rely on those that have expertise in that vertical. Sean Payton would be one of those people. Now, am I convinced that Sean Payton wanted to start Bo Nix? No. I actually think Peyton wanted to slow play the role a little bit more. In my opinion, I think what Sean Payton wanted to do was start probably Wilson, as in
I was
Zach
going to say
Wilson.
Stidham.
No, I think he wanted to start Wilson, and I
I
think
thought Wilson was third on the depth chart, though.
Wilson. Everything is all about slow playing things and gamesmanship with Sean Payton.
Depth charts made
Yeah,
up.
it's all like
Fugazi.
It's
Very
it's all
good.
this.
Yeah. It's all relative. I'm first on the depth chart. Hell,
Yeah. Like Sean Payton literally on his first depth chart put every rookie at the bottom of the depth chart just because he said, I guess I have to do it. Right? Like it is what it is. Like so you're correct, Cool Kev.
That's why
the young soccer moms in Denver are not safe today. They're just not.
Plus, he was a healthy
the back of a van. The back of a van should never be knocked on when it's rocking or moving. We'll just put it that way. But
they're knocking on it trying to get next in line.
Yeah. With that in mind,
here's where he veered a little off the path.
Yeah, that's Minshew for sure.
But with that in mind, I actually think that Sean Payton probably would have preferred to have one of the veteran quarterbacks start. He worked under multiple old school head coaches in the NFL as for his start of his career, and he has never once, and I mean ever, I even in his back camera footage stuff that's been released, has mentioned anything negative about any of those coaches. He has always revered their style and their success. And as a result, I think that he would probably have preferred to go with one of the veteran quarterbacks that he has on the roster. And I just think that would have been his preference from the get-go. And so that's my thought process. That's my gut reaction from what I saw that past game. Nix showed more than I thought he would, however, did things that I also thought he would. And that was my concern, is that, you can have A and B and they can coexist. We also saw some major issues as it came to the offensive line. And I have no idea why this is such a surprise to anyone. I'm sick and tired of Broncos country sticking their head in the sand and then wondering why it's crunchy. It makes no sense. Like, this is ridiculous. The offensive line did not move anyone in Sunday's game. Our run game suffered on the inside in particular. That's because of the center and the other guard, not Quinn Miners, the other guard, Powers, who couldn't move. No, unfortunately, I would have probably
Excuse
preferred
me,
him.
Powers. You must block better.
Yeah, you must block better. This is the problem that we had. This is the
fitting for Robert to come in with the mini-me impersonation.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. Michael Myers is Canadian, so I'm kind of allowed to do it, right? But
so is Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool.
I agree. Look, all the funny American actors are actually Canadian. It's funny. But anyways, look, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong.
All the funny American actors are Canadian. It's like, wait, what? But yeah,
well, a lot of Americans think they're American, but they're actually not. They're Canadian.
This is true. This is very true.
We all
Ryan
come
Reynolds
from
is
somewhere.
one of them.
Steve Martin, Ryan Reynolds, Jim Carrey,
Jim Carrey. That's right. He's hilarious.
I keep going down the list, but man, they're all Canadian. But anyways, when you look at the way the Broncos played and what I saw from Bo Nix, what I saw from the offensive line, it was exactly what my concerns were. Like, we didn't have the from the center to the left guard. We didn't have the movement. We didn't have the shift. We didn't have the push that we need in order to run the ball properly. The Seahawks also had a young interior defensive lineman that started to elevate himself as well, which, again, all credit in the world to the D lineman, but let's go against better competition and see how he does. And then let's then reassess, because the center for my Denver Broncos and the left guard for my Denver Broncos are not great. They're okay, but they're not great. Quinn Myers and again, McGlinchey is a good run blocker, but not a great pass blocker. So that's why we saw Williams and you saw some other runs go to the right side and have some success, but none of them went inside from the center and between the right side of the center, the left side of the center, or to the left side of the left guard, because they're trash. I'm sorry, they're just trash. They need to be kicked to the curb and then replaced with someone else. Yeah. I mean, a turnstile, I think, blocks better.
Matador. Ole.
I thought it was it was obviously going to be a tough game going into it for Bo Nix, because, like you said, that Seahawks defense is very with the coached
Ravens old DC.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, very well coached. They have a ton of talent on there. They have a really great corner duo in Reek Woolen and
Witherspoon.
Witherspoon. Yep. And
don't they have Leonard Williams too? I mean,
they do have Leonard Williams.
They got some good D line.
I thought Leonard Williams was on the Niners now. No, I'm Leonard Floyd. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of somebody totally different. Leonard Floyd. My bad. The guy that tore Rodgers' ACLs.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so I knew he was going to struggle. I mean, look, at the end of the day, he's a rookie. Like, he's going to have his struggles. Like you said,
Caleb
the O-line
Williams struggled, man.
Dude didn't even throw for 100 yards. And I'd argue he went up against a much, much worse team, although that pass rush is still very vaunted of the Titans. So there is a little bit of that. But to keep it with Bo Nix, I think, and I'm going to stick with it ultimately, like, this is the best thing for him to learn. This is the best way for him to go about, his rookie season and just not take anything too seriously. I think your guys' defense is good enough to win you some games, but he just needs to work on, obviously, the turnovers. You can't throw 2 picks, obviously. But I think that is something that Peyton can, I don't want to say coach out of him, because no quarterback can really ever get coached out of throwing picks, but I think he can coach him into making better decisions. Like, it's week 1. So there's obviously going to be a lot of
Robert, you and I are different. We're on different pages.
I know. I know we are.
Like this is not a Bo Nix problem in my mind. This is a Bo Nix trajectory issue. Bo Nix doesn't know enough to know enough. Like he has not been in the league long enough to see NFL defenses key in and be able to do some of the things that they're able to do. He just hasn't. Period. Full stop. That's it. This is not a complicated comment. This is not something that should be difficult for people to understand. Like this is basic crap, right? So the thing is can he learn from it? Yes, I do think
that was the question I was going to ask. I feel like he's a smart enough kid. He's gonna pick up pieces and learn in each and every game. It's only going to help.
I agree,
Seattle's got a beast of a defense. They drafted so well over the last 3 years.
Right, but this is my point, Jack. Why put through a rookie quarterback through an intentional gauntlet when the general consensus is that approach doesn't usually work? And what I mean by that is there are very few quarterbacks that end up making it to the Super Bowl and winning.
No, agreed. But do you think any of the other quarterbacks really would have done much better, though?
Yes.
Really? Against that defense?
Yes.
Zach Wilson might have thrown more picks, but that might have been it. I don't think they would have been much better. I mean, your run offense is really not that great, so he wasn't getting help. I'll say that. Like, there wasn't, to your point, the team around him isn't good enough for him to truly show what he's capable of. I fully agree with you on that. But I think where we differ is you're saying that he's not going to be able to get the experience, or he should have had the opportunity to sit back and watch his other QBs go and play to try to learn from that. I just think he's going to learn more by doing. He's going to come away from this game. Him and Payne are going to sit down, look at the tape, be like, all right, this is where you went wrong. You know, need to make this different read. Like they have, like you said, Bo Nix is his dude. He was the second quarterback that he wanted in the draft, and really the first because everybody knew Caleb was going number 1. So this is his guy. I think they are truly going to like work at it. Like this is why he wanted him to start, is because he's like, I'm not going to wait a year to have these conversations with my guy. Like I drafted him because I believe in him. So I want to show the world what he can do. And he's going to go through, you know, his issues.
So here's my real take on that. And just bear with me as I go through this. And I'd love to hear everyone's take on kind of what I'm about to say. I would like to have seen Zach Wilson start. I think Wilson would have done better than Nix in the start. I think he would have performed better. I think he would have done things that Nix could not have done. What I then would have liked to have seen is, well, what I'd like to have seen even before this game, but even during this game, is Peyton and Wilson to sit down, Peyton, Wilson, and Nix to sit in a private room together and be like, look, Zach, you know it and I know it. Nix is the future of the team. And of course, Wilson is well already admitted that publicly. He is not an idiot. However, Peyton can pull Wilson aside privately and say, my goal is to make you look freaking fantastic. And the reason why I want you to look friggin' fantastic is that I believe that you can be a starter at the NFL level if you're given an opportunity to play properly under a team and under an offensive guy that knows how to game plan around you. I think you and Bo have very similar skill sets. Bo is going to be our future, but I believe that I can make you look just as good. And what my ultimate goal is that when some idiot quarterback decides to break his leg or do something else stupid, or his offensive line can't do something for him, I want you to be the number 1 trade candidate after I make you look like you're $1 million or like a $30 million quarterback at the NFL level again. And I want teams to clamor for you, A, because I think you can be that good if you're given the proper opportunity with the proper team who's willing to game plan for you. And B, because I think it'll better this team and you ultimately in your career if you're back starting on a field again. So I think this is a win-win for all of us. I make you look good. You go get the bag somewhere by going to some other team who's going to be basically taking on your contract and giving you an extension. And let's make this happen. And if it's not this year, then it'll certainly be in the offseason once I make you look that damn good.
Well, Richie, here's where I disagree with you on that. I mean, what was Wilson's big problem last year with the Jets? You just mentioned earlier that your center and your left guard, they're like turnstiles, Olays. Well, that's what he had with the Jets. The bad offensive line, and we saw how he played for the Jets, and the Jets didn't want him back. So
here's my thing, though. If
I don't think he's going to say, "Hey, we're going to make you look so good that someone's really going to want to go after and get you." Maybe on a waiver wire or something.
The problem I have with Nix is that Nix isn't good enough yet, and notice the word "yet," to identify how to adjust protections at the NFL level to save himself. In my opinion, with Zach Wilson being at the skill level that he is, and I'm sorry, anyone who wants to argue with me on this, I think you're going to lose that battle, because he had a worse offensive line with New York last year and looked better than Bo Nix has so far. His stats played that out.
Well, it's only one game.
Yeah, damn.
The first game.
It's totally drastic.
Right. But you also had literally one offensive weapon in New York that he could really throw to, and everyone else was kind of just another guy. So you had Wilson who was able to show out with far subpar talent to what Denver has on their roster. And in my opinion, that's why you should stick with him for this season so far. Now, Do you do it all season? No. I changed my tune a little bit after seeing Bo Nix play through the preseason. I think you kind of do like an A and B, and then eventually you transition over to Bo Nix as your 1A. Like he transitions from the 1B over to 1A as the season progresses, right? But the point is it's still the same concept that I was discussing before. We saw it play out in this game against Seattle. The game at first for Bo Nix was definitely too big for him. Then he adjusted and settled himself down, but he still made rookie quarterback mistakes to be expected. However, is that the best thing for a rookie quarterback to go through? Or would you rather him ebb and flow bits and pieces into the game and ease himself into an NFL career to get familiar but not have the expectations? In my opinion, I think you run a risk by forcing expectations on a rookie quarterback. And I think that you're better off leveraging what you would deem as a traditional throwaway, which is a Zach Wilson or Jarek Stidham, and you let them spell Bo Nix to start the game so that he doesn't have those lofty expectations and then have to then go explain himself away from making rookie quarterback mistakes, which are to be expected. And more importantly, what we saw this past Sunday from Bo when he was on the field.
I think if you're expecting anything like drastic from a rookie, there's an issue with what you should be expecting. Like, I don't think anybody, realistic fans, I should say, I don't think any realistic fans went into this season after Nix got named the starter and were like, oh, we're going to go to the playoffs. We're going to, win 12 games. Like, I don't think anybody thought that. And if you did, then you're definitely overshooting what you expected Nix to be, because guys with top 5 or top 3 QB picks in the draft weren't even really expecting that, albeit the Bears, but they're a little bit of a special case because of, the whole Panther trade. But you should not expect Nix to go in every game and light it up. This is going to be a building block season for him and for the Broncos. Like, you just re-signed your corner, your star corner, Surtain, so he's your building block piece for the future on defense. You're still trying to find kind of like that number one guy on offense. I mean, the Chargers are too, in a sense, but once that kind of is discovered, whether it's Troy Franklin, whether it's Cortland Sutton, whether it's some other star that kind of comes out of nowhere, I think this is all good for Nix, and it's all just going to help him become a better QB because he's experiencing the games. He's seeing NFL defenses in real time in the field of play. So I don't think he's the type of quarterback to go. I mean, this is very true as well. I don't think, I don't think Nix is the type of quarterback to go into the locker room after a loss, especially that loss, and be like, damn, like, I'm trash, like, this is it, my career is over. Like, no, like, he's walking off the field like, I deserve to be here. Peyton made me the starter, so I belong here, and yeah, I'm gonna struggle, but I'm a rookie. I'm gonna learn, and we'll see how the season looks at the end of it. But I don't think it's either which way, like too bad or too good. I think he just needs to go through the motions, have a typical rookie year, and we'll see at the end of the season where he stands.
Well, Robert, I will say this, on defense of Richie, some of his Bronco Nation, out there, and the way of his coworkers, I popped on a couple of their shows in the way of the chat. Some of them do think that they're going to, make the playoffs and go further, based on, the play of a rookie quarterback. But I also think that, Sean Payton is a smart enough guy. He's going to see like what his strengths were, what his weaknesses were. And like you said, Richie, it ain't the preseason. It ain't playing against second, third string, fourth string guys. Now you're playing against the top guys in the league, and he's going to see what those strengths and weaknesses are and help build them up too.
In the world.
That's
Don't let Noah Lyles hear that.
Yeah.
I think this is the important piece, dude. Right? Like you are literally talking about the NFL that goes to almost any lengths to try to find the best athletes to put on the field because it makes for the best product for their league, right? Like I think that is so often understated by many. Like you get guys that are being pulled in from random small villages in Africa, even that just happen to be freak athletes and turned out to be like just like insane in terms of like how good they are at football. And like the NFL is always and forever going to try to put the best product on the field no matter what. And I think that needs to be highlighted in compared to some of these other leagues that are out there. The other leagues have the benefit, and I use this as just a general term, they have the benefit of having 50, 60, 70, 80 games or more, depending on which league we're discussing about in terms of the professional level. The NFL, 18 weeks and you're done, plus playoffs.
Yep.
Right? Like that's
Well,
it.
yeah,
That's
that
all
you got 53 guys on each NFL team, where a lot of these squads only got
you have a
12,
limited
13.
roster. You have a limited roster, and you have some like creative rules as it comes to things like practice squad, etc. I'm sorry, but that's it.
From the top rope, Virginia just coming in
Virginia
with a haymaker.
Boo.
Oh man,
Virginia. I'm going to pose this. I'm going to pose this back to you. And by the way, love the volley of banter. But
You just became Robert's best friend.
This will be for Jack and Robert ultimately, which is, did Crosby just have a bad game, or did Joe Alt just show that he is as good as he was slated to be based on his draft prospect? And I think that'll be a conversation for Jack and Robert to have in just a moment.
Yes,
absolutely.
But when we're looking at my Broncos versus the Seahawks, a few things I would like to make note here, and this is why I really hope that more of you tune into the show. One, I called that we were going to lose. The vast majority of other Broncos media said that we were going to win. They lied to you. Congratulations. Two, I think there needs to be some realistic expectations put on this Broncos season. We are rushing certain players into situations that I do not believe they are currently ready for. Doesn't mean that they won't ever be ready for it, but they're not currently ready for it. And this is the problem. I am not saying that Bo Nix should not be the starter by mid-season even at this point. I just don't believe that he was ready to start the season the way that he did, because as Jack very clearly and accurately stated, if you were to do the 360 around Broncos country in the podcast and everything leading up to this game, the expectations for Bo Nix, just to kind of counter what you said, Robert, I mean, they basically said that he was going to be the next John Elway, and I'm paraphrasing, but not by much. And
that's wild.
And I think that is an unacceptable expectation to put on a rookie quarterback.
Absolutely.
I also think that Broncos country could have done ourselves a better service as a team and to our rookie quarterback by following through with a variation of what I have suggested, whether or not it be to start a Wilson or a Stidham for the first few games, or to start them but then intermix Bo Nix every drive or two to get him that in-game experience of being at the NFL level. Either way, both Stidham and Wilson, if they haven't figured out already, which they clearly have, Nix is the future of the team. Deal with it. Now, the question is, are you going to be along for the ride at the NFL level and perhaps be given an opportunity under an offensive mastermind who has shown that he is at minimum a top 10 to 12 level of NFL head coach in the NFL? Because that would be a benefit to them, right? If they're trying to reignite their career, you should want to stick around and show that you're really good, because then you have a better opportunity in the NFL for latter years in your career and maybe get back to a starting position. So it makes no sense to me why Wilson or Stidham shouldn't just fall in line and do the right thing. Stidham has shown that he's incapable of doing it, and fair enough, kick the dude to the curb. But I think Wilson has shown that he can be a team guy, and that's why I really wanted him to start. He came out and publicly supported Bo Nix after admitting that Nix won the starting job and that he was going to be there to support him in any way, shape, or form. And by all accounts has done nothing but that. And to me, that's the guy you want behind and or in front of, depending on how you'd like to look at it objectively, a rookie quarterback like that. A guy like Wilson is shown to be like, he can almost be like a McCowan. Support the young rookie, but start anyway. So you put Wilson out there, but you let the guy like coach up as like a coach on the field as the guy makes mistakes, and then allow the guy to go off to greener pastures, and hopefully he can start for another team that needs him. Right? Like, and I'm talking about specifically Zach Wilson now.
Yeah, I think it depends on your view of Zach Wilson. I think a lot of people kind of, once he was done with the Jets,
he's done.
That was kind of it. Like it's almost like career backup for him at this point.
Why?
And that's because you laid it out. Like, he had not nearly as bad of a time last season when he wasn't the starter in New York, and like more than what, Nix has to work with the Broncos. And you could just see it, like he doesn't have it. Like it's like pure eye test for him. You just see him play, and you saw him play with those weapons, and you saw
he played like Minshew, typically plays like Minshew yesterday.
No, like seriously.
He played scared in New York, so
I mean, and I get it. New York didn't have, but when you have that good of a defense and you still can't even just play like don't turn the damn ball over and we'll be good, he couldn't even do that. And so it's like, if you can't even game manage properly, there is nothing really. You're not a starter, that's for sure. If you can't even game manage a game, you're definitely not starter quality, because there's backups in the league that have that trait and can do that at a consistent level, and they aren't even starting. So I just feel like, whether it's unfair or not, the NFL world and maybe the media kind of help with this, and obviously Aaron Rodgers going down didn't help anything. I think after that last season, everybody kind of just collectively agreed, like, yeah, Wilson is not, like, he can go on to another team and have some solid games as a backup, but I don't think no franchise is ever going to risk that again by trying to sign him as the starter.
Yeah. And you know what, Cool Kev, that's super funny, dude. If he did that for a living, he would be the top of his game.
Bouncing around, just dumping offspring everywhere.
All pro.
Dude, I said it in one of the earlier shows. I was like, if Zach wants to be a backup here, he would be.
I mean, yeah, he has the arm talent to be be around for a while as, that guy that in a pinch, we at least know this guy can throw the ball. But I mean, I think he's had ample opportunity to show that he has it. And honestly, if Sean Payton's the type of coach that could get that out of Zach Wilson, wouldn't he be able to get the same, if not more, out of Bo Nix, who, I mean, you spent a first-round pick on, and in all reality is only 4 or 5 months younger than Zach Wilson. So it's not like he's 21 with years of being able to wait and learn. I mean, he played 7 years of college football, so he should have enough experience to, progress at a little bit quicker rate, I would say,
than like a raw rookie,
at the NFL level. And I think I didn't watch like all the game. I only really got to see what Red Zone showed me, but I mean, he was athletic with his feet, scored in that way. And I mean, I think did enough to show that, he can progress and learn from these mistakes. I mean, it's not the run game. It didn't help him. I don't understand why they went out and made him throw 42 times in the game as well.
That was the question I was asked was about the running game. I mean, what happened with it? It's like, I look at, Estime got 2 touches and he averaged 7 yards per carry, and they only gave him 2.
He's on the IR now.
It was on the IR.
He just landed on the IR today.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Richie. He's a good back.
Esteem.
That was a tough one. I saw that.
Okay, now I know why I only got 2 touches.
2 words for you: offensive line.
This is true.
That is true.
Like guys, I really don't understand why this is such a challenging or difficult concept.
It's not. I didn't watch the game, so that's why I'm asking questions.
No, but okay. I hate to do this to you, Jack, but where was your running game against?
That's one thing we'll talk about.
Yeah, we're gonna. Don't you worry about that, Richie.
Don't deflect. Answer the question.
The two are directly linked. Is my point. If your offensive line is not good enough to move bodies out of the way, then you're not going to be able to run the damn ball. Like, this is not, like, again, this is not a challenging concept. Like, this is pretty straightforward. Like, this is like football 101, right? Which is, if your offensive line is physical enough and technique sound, they will move the defensive lineman out the way, especially in the early stages of the NFL season, because there's not enough tape on all the different stuff on all the different teams and the schemes to kind of really be out there until about week 3 or 4, like in full, to like really get like the little subtlety, nuances of every player. So the Denver Broncos offensive line is simply just not good enough to move guys off the ball. Quinn Miners is strong enough and big enough to move people off the ball. McGlinchey sucks at pass pro, but can move guys off the ball and run blocking. And we don't have an offensive center who's good enough to like control that line of scrimmage. And we don't have a left guard who's good enough to control that line of scrimmage. So, and don't even get me started on our left tackle, who I think should have been traded this offseason, and we should have drafted someone. But that's, again, neither here nor there. Garrett Holds is a mediocre left tackle at best in the NFL.
Garrett Holds.
I mean, it's not great, but I also don't like it's week 1. Like, I think this is, if I'm putting it into perspective for a course of the season, I think this is probably going to be like, arguably, maybe, I mean, I'm projecting a little bit, but this probably will be the worst game that Bo Nix plays in his rookie season. 2 picks, no 2 picks, no touchdown passes. So then the only way to go is up. Like, he left this game, and it's like, okay, we went against a really young, really well-coached, great defense, a team that is, I think some people are probably considering the Seahawks are going to try to compete this year. They have the defense to do it. I think it just comes down to Geno, but they have a pretty talented team, all things considered, good skill players and whatnot. So I think that Broncos fans shouldn't go too far on either end of it, and it's kind of hard to go hard on the end of, we're going to do great this season. But I don't think people should also just be like, all right, season's over, blow it up, Bo Nix isn't it, like, this is it, we made the wrong pick. Like, no, he's gonna get time to develop. And this season, even if you guys don't make the playoffs, but you guys maybe make like a late season push where it's like, it's looking competitive, and it was a play here, a play there. Maybe you can look back into some games earlier in the season where, if we steal this one, we're in. Even if you have that kind of end to your season, I think it's a positive moving forward, and Broncos fans should be very happy with that.
So I have a question. So, Richie, I haven't heard anything nice for you on your talking about your team. What was the player, or what was the thing that you liked about what your Broncos did?
Our defense showed the ability to get safeties in the end zone on the opposing team. That was a benefit that we had in terms of what I believe is a much better defense than most people are giving our team credit for. And I would say that is something that the NFL really should be paying attention to. That being said, our defensive coordinator is also Vance Joseph. He has a propensity to not adjust. That is a legitimate issue with him, and I hate to turn a positive into a negative, but I literally saw it in the game.
Can't help.
Like, they're coached really well, and when the matchups favor them, and when the offense has not adjusted to match the defensive scheme and the personnel that are present, like, our defense is actually very good from a talent perspective. You don't have a ton of household names other than Pat Surtain. But overall, our defense is very good. Now the issue here, though, is can the defense be coached to adjust as the offense will inevitably adjust that we're going against? Look at the Seahawks game, and you'll see exactly what I mean by that. We killed them through the first portion of the game, and that's where those safeties came from. Now, as the game went on, the offense of the Seahawks adjusted their game plan and their gameplay, but our defense did not. That is a Broncos problem, not a Seahawks problem. And that's what I mean by that. So, like, what positives did I see? There's a lot of them. Literally, there was a ton. So, defense, huge positive. Look, I realize I just went into a bunch of negatives on the defense, but it's only because the coach didn't adjust. Not because I'm pissed off at the players. Like, the players are actually really good. I'm actually very happy with the personnel we have. The talent is present. Now, on the flip side of that, as much as there were negatives for Bo Nix, there was a ton of positives too. He was able to make plays and throws that show that he has legitimate promise, which is why I'm not, throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. Like, I am very balanced when it comes to Bo Nix. Like I am very balanced when it comes to my Bo Nix takes. He made some amazing decisions with the football, despite the fact that he also had some trash ones too. And this is why my whole point is, I just think we went a little bit too far. I think we could have gone, I think we should have been slightly more conservative with who we played to start the game, but I think Bo should have played in the game. And that's my take. You can hate it or like it. I don't really care. That's my take. I think we would have done better and potentially won the game, and then eventually got Bo Nix to be the long-term starter by the season if we took that approach. So, for example, there was a great throw on the left sideline that Bo Nix made to Reynolds, the former Lions wideout, who's now on the Denver Broncos, who's our basically wide receiver too. Bo Nix recognized that there was a safety over the top of Reynolds that was going to prevent him from being able to run deep. Bo Nix intentionally threw the ball outside and shallow to where only Reynolds could catch the ball, and he did. So those are some examples of wherewithal that we're seeing from a rookie wide receiver that is, despite some bad plays, had some equally exceptional plays, and that was one of them, in my opinion, that showed that he has the ability to use his head, forget plays that were poor before, and adjust. That doesn't change my take or my comments from before, though.
Hey, I'm just happy it took an hour and 3 minutes to get Bo Nix a compliment.
Look, I come from a family that will tell you 95 negative things, and they'll tell you one positive, and then you should just be thankful that you got a positive.
You got a positive.
Right?
That one positive is supposed to outweigh.
Yeah. So the fact that you got a compliment should be a benefit in and of itself. That's just the way I was brought up and raised. I always think that the positives are glaringly obvious. Like,
so they don't need to be stated.
They don't need to be stated. I think that you should be accepting constructive criticism, because I think that's the only way that you're going to improve and get better.
Yeah, I agree with that. Well, I'm not going to do any of that today because everybody on this panel here had the Chargers losing, so I'm going to unleash on everybody today. It is going to be absolutely legendary, but before I do that, Jack, I want you to have the floor and talk about how your team performed or didn't perform for that.
I gotta say, that was a throwback game. I mean, it was a hard-hitting, blasting, straight up.
It.
What we said, it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a defensive game.
Yep.
It was great. I mean, except for the loss, of course. But yeah, it's like both defenses played well. This is the best Chargers defense I've ever seen in the last several years.
Yep.
And yes, my offensive line, man, it was trash. It was straight up trash. Minshew looked like, a scared kid. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. But I think, maybe even Miller, which he's a stalwart of our offensive line, and getting really no practice or anything like that. He looked like he wasn't ready. And he was even getting pushed back. It's not something I'm used to seeing. Oh, our white hair. Come on, JPJ. Come on back. Because, white hair gave me white hair, actually no hair. All right. I lost all my hair off of him. Andre James, same thing. Getting pushed back. Ford on your defense did a lot of pushing. And he looked pretty good. But yeah, it was a rough offense. But I will say the defense, though, dominated for almost 3 quarters.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, the matchup we've been wanting to talk about, Robert, because if everybody out there knows I'm a huge Notre Dame fan, so I am a huge Joe Alt fan, and that was the one thing I was looking forward to see is Max Crosby play Alt. So they had 11 snaps against each other. Alt had give up 0 pressures against Max. And you know what? When you asked, did Max have a good game? Yeah, he had a good game.
Yeah, absolutely.
He had a lot of pressures coming on, but he just had to run around the middle.
Stunt moves. Yep.
A lot of stunning, and it worked. I mean, it kept for the first. Well, even in the second half, it worked. Yeah. But after you with Minshew, I mean, he single-handedly kind of changed the whole game. So it was where was he throwing that ball? It was like a backwards pass. There was no one even there. He looked like a scared kid. So when he called Mad Max, hey, you called me a little boy. Well, you were playing like a little boy this game. You get a fumble, you get a turnover from a pick, and he looked scared. And the offensive line gave him no help. So again, kind of what Richie, what you're talking about, hey, your offensive line is giving up, getting pushed back, and giving up everything. So the run game didn't work. Absolutely. Raiders run game didn't work at all. And neither did the Chargers until the fourth quarter.
Yep.
And that's because we had 3 turnovers. Yeah. Actually 4 turnovers. And this is one
turnover on downs.
Yeah. Now that one, now this was bad, from everything, from every perspective. This was one of the worst plays that I've ever seen, 2 plays in a row.
Oh yeah.
So
it was 3rd and 1, right? You had 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 back to back, right?
No, we were on our side of the field. We threw it to Tucker, and he got a first down. And the rest moved it back. And everyone's going, what the heck? Right. He crossed that yellow line.
Yeah.
And we didn't even challenge it. And then we go for it. So that's number 1. That's a mistake on our head coach for not challenging. Then number 2, then we go to run the ball. And who do we put in the backfield as our fullback? Is Michael Mayers. Okay. Michael Mayers, again, Notre Dame, I've never seen him take 1 snap as a fullback out of all his years at Notre Dame. But hey, who does play fullback at Georgia? Who's done this? Is Bowers. So why not put Bowers in there, or even Madison? It makes more sense. So dumb call by Gatsby there. I don't know why you do that. So bad play by the head coach. Bad play by our offensive coordinator. And then we don't get it, and we turn it over on down. So actually, it's 2 bad calls by our head coach on that play.
Worst was yet to come.
And you get it. You get 3 points out of it because you're already on our side of the field.
Yeah.
And then, So Minshew later on, we get thrown that ball behind, and there's no one there. There's a ghost.
Free 3 points.
It goes to the post or something, but he ain't going to the post. He's going to the sideline.
Seeing ghosts. Footsteps Falco, dude.
and turn that one over. And then that's another 3 points. So that was 6 points. That was your points in the first half. There should have been no points given up in that first half. So yes, the defense was absolutely, rocking it, but you can't turn over the ball that many times and then expect to keep your defense fresh.
Yep,
So,
and we talked about that before the week too, Jack. I said it last week. I was like, this is gonna be a battle of turnovers. The team that wins the turnover battle is going to win the game.
And you're right.
It was just like you said. It was just that style of game. It was tough nose, bruising, freaking just bully ball on both sides. And I mean, it was a little chippy. You saw some.
Oh,
you
it was
saw
really
a little
chippy.
bit of shove, some shoves
little.
there. Yeah. Well, I was gonna get to that, but I'll address the little scrum in the end zone a little bit later.
Yeah, that's at the end of the game. So again, defense is rocking. Spillane had like 10 tackles. Max had a sack. I mean, Herbert kept to 144 yards for the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And up until, again, the big runs, the defense was shutting down the run just like the Chargers were shutting the Raiders' run defense. So it was just like a give and take. But, since the offense did so bad, so bad, it's like people were talking about, hey, did we just go back to McFired, for Gatsby? That's what we were feeling. It's like, where's the creativity? Where is pushing the ball down the field? Minshew, again, besides the 2 turnovers, threw for 75% because he's only getting like 5.5 yards per attempt. You got to extend the field, make the defense play, honest. So, but there is some positives though. So with Bowers, second.
Pro.
Bowers set a record for the Raiders as a rookie tight end with the most yards, and he had the most catches for the Raiders. That's a second ever. And wow. I'm sorry, no, the most ever. Second in the NFL ever for a rookie tight end.
Yeah, so 5 catches? Was it 6?
6,
right? Yeah.
6 for 58.
58. So that just shows you that kid is going to end up being something special.
Good.
So
future all pro for sure.
I loved what I saw on there. So that was really cool. And then, on the defense, one thing I thought was pretty cool for Max and getting that sack actually tied him for his 4th all time on the Raiders with 53 sacks. Nice. So it moved him up, and he's got a lot of playing time left. And Bennett, a lot of the big knocks, like again, Alex, you're talking about, your defensive back. You're like going, hey, you didn't see a huge drop off. Last year, Bennett started and it went to the bench. This game, he looked good. So I'm glad almost that we, time will tell, but I'm glad that we didn't go out and spend a bunch of big bucks and have to get, like an Xavier Howard. Now I'm kind of happy about it. What really hurt us, though, is not having Kuntz, who had 8 sacks last season, busted out. And then, of course, Tyree, hurt his knee in the game. So now we're down to our 3rd and 4th, stringers on defensive end. So that really hurts. So now we got Janarius Robinson and Snowden. Our guys.
Yeah.
Former Charger.
And we had to pick up, Kalan Kason this week and put him on the practice squad because we're so light. And I kind of said that before. Why did we only keep 4 defensive ends on the roster? And that was it.
And you guys lost. What was the name? Wilson or Tyree? What was the name?
Yeah, that's what I just mentioned. Yeah,
Tyree.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So who knows how long he's going to be out? But Kuntz is going to be out for 4 weeks. He's on the PUP list.
Mm-mm.
So, but Robert, I got to say, I haven't seen the Chargers play this well in a long time. You got my team.
Game.
I think overall it was really 2 plays. 2 plays. I mean, even with the turnovers. I mean, really, it was 4 turnovers. It was 2 plays.
Zamir White. That fumble. Yeah, that Zamir White fumble was really.
Don't you say that name.
That Zamir White fumble was honestly the end all kind of like of that game. I know the pick by Poona Ford kind of all, really ended it. But that fumble by White is what, that's what the entire course of the game changed. And that 4th and 1 on our side of the field.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
This is the exact point I was trying to make to all the Raider fans in the chat when I was having that conversation with Captain Jack. Coaching is such a pivotal part of these games. I should know. I had the worst head coach in the league for the last 3 years. It is night and day different from interim. You fire your head coach and you're forced to hire to elevate someone, because you usually elevate somebody from within.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a huge difference between that and actually being the head coach of the team signed to a contract from day one going into the season.
So, Robert, that's facts, dude. I mean, I saw it in your team. Your team played totally different.
I was just about to say, we went from, like I said, the worst head coach in the league to arguably a top 5. I'm not even trying to be like, but realistically, Harbaugh's been here before. For everybody that's saying, oh, well, he's done it in college. No, he's done it at the NFL level too. A lot of people forget
he's got to a Super Bowl
before. Exactly. He's been to a Super Bowl before. So I would definitely say going into this matchup, I don't know, what Raider fans or what anybody else in the league really thought of going into this, but I truly thought going into this matchup, we had the advantage of head coach. I thought, to me, it was just pretty evident.
Oh, it was evident in the game. That's for sure.
And it was evident in the game.
What I didn't see, though, is I didn't see that your defensive, tackles actually playing good. I mean, last year, giving up 63 points, and again, that was the weakness: is run. You got great edges, but run it down your throat.
Yep.
But they stepped up. I mean, Ford, that was a nice pickup.
Yep. Oh, he was, and I think Tony Romo said it on the broadcast, kind of like during the game, but we were lacking size up front and in the middle. We had technically sound D tackles that could, swim move, kind of make some good moves trying to get to the QB, but there was nobody in terms of run defense. So to go out there against that team, in which I fully expected the Raiders to just run the ball down our throats, to go out there and to see them perform like that. But
and it also makes you, as a Raiders fan, it makes you understand and miss something I think Raider Nation kind of took for granted in Josh Jacobs. Yep. Because Zamir White, he might be, he's faster than Josh Jacobs. He's actually bigger than Josh Jacobs, but he doesn't have the vision of a Josh Jacobs in running inside. So when he first came up, all they would do was swing routes, let him run outside, use that speed, that size, but not inside. And, they're trying to do that. And again, poor offensive line play. And again, this is the same offensive line that would push your team around last year and in the year before. So I expected at least to have a better showing on that, but it was completely changed. Your defense completely just utterly changed. And I got to give your credit to Harbaugh on that for sure.
We lose this game if Staley is our head coach. I just want everybody to realize that.
And here's another thing. So you go back to that 4th and 1. So I just talked about some of the worst series, the 2 plays, bad coaching, bad, offensive coordinator, and then we get on your side of the field and it's 4th and 1. Again, the defense is playing well, but again, there's been a bunch of turnovers. So these guys are getting tired. Let's just go out there and punt the ball. And we're on your side of the field, but we go for it on our side, but not on your side.
See, that to me, the reason why he didn't go for it, or at least I think why Pierce didn't decide to go for it in that situation, is because he had just been stopped. Well, not just been, it was in the first quarter, but he had already been stopped on a and one situation back-to-back times. And it was on the same drive, like you had mentioned already. So, and it's so crazy to me because that has been the MO of every single Chargers coach since Marty in those exact situations. They play not to lose. and they don't play to win. And that is exactly why we won this game on Sunday. Apart from the turnovers, obviously, but and I think it's a little too quick before people are already calling for AP's head.
Oh,
But
some of the nations are already, kind of doing that. Yeah, it is way too early, but that's three bad plays that really stood out in this game for AP.
That 4th and 1 on our side of the field, that is a play where you can lose the locker room with that one. Because you're basically telling your offense, I don't trust you to get a yard on their side of the field. Because if by that same logic of, and I know he said it in the press conference, it was, well, it was a defensive battle. We wanted to put our best unit out there on the field. Yeah, I understand that, but it's like,
you're down by 6.
You're down by 6 in the 4th quarter.
Yes.
And your defense needs rest. So the best way for your defense to help you is to keep them off the field for as long as you can, trying to use your offense in that time to score. So that it was very refreshing to me, because I have been on that end of plenty of games in the past. So to see Harbaugh come in and instantly change that is such a breath of fresh air for this team, and it's so needed. Jesse Minter coached an outstanding defense on Sunday.
Robert is worse than that, though.
In what way?
Well, when you give up the ball on your side of the field on a 4th and 1, and you have, say, 30 to 35 yards or less to get a score on the other, like as in like the flip side. So like the Raiders gave up on like the 35, somewhere in that general range. Like it was like 35, 40, somewhere that yardage marker in terms of play. Your defense on the flip side, so like the Raiders defense on the flip side of that play, when they're trying to stop the Chargers offense, the playbook for the Raiders is kind of wide open. The playbook for the Chargers, rather, is wide open in terms of how you're going to attack the Raiders defense, because it's effectively a free play for you. Whereas the Raiders are extremely limited in what they can do in a defensive side, because they've been compressed. Like the amount of field that they have is compressed. And so it's almost a free 3 downs for the Chargers to knowingly and intentionally wear out the Raiders defense even further at that point in the game. And Jack, just to kind of put a bit of a bow on that as a general statement, what that basically means, and I'll be honest, I didn't watch after what happened to go back and confirm this, but if I'm the Chargers, I'm running the ball 3 times. And the reason why I'm running the ball 3 times is, 1, it's worked so far, and 2, it further degrades the defense of the Raiders. And it's almost like a gift, like it's literally a gift to your opponent, because I've demoralized them already. I've been able to run the ball well so far, and if I know that I have my opponent's defense tired out, like to a point where they can't do all the things that they want to do, I can push that envelope even further and really put them at an even greater disadvantage going forward. And frankly, Harbaugh is no dummy. Let's call a duck a duck. The dude is an experienced head coach and proven himself at the NFL level. And he did, from what I can tell, he did exactly what I thought he was going to do, which was...
He did a Harbaugh game, Richie. It was a pure Harbaugh game. It's the way you want. But you know what? It's crazy. But Harbaugh and Antonio Pierce, they kind of want to do the same thing. They want to run the old smash mouth football, and do it that way. And that's what the game was pretty much the whole day.
Yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
But going forward on 4th and 1 on the wrong side of the field.
Yeah, that was that's why I said earlier, I don't know if you heard it, but that was one of the big mistakes that he made. It's like, what was the point of that? It made no sense. Because again, the play before that, we got a first down and it was a bad spot. And in AP, again, a mistake. He didn't challenge the play.
He didn't challenge it.
And it would have been a first. And you wouldn't have to go through that.
So Jack, this is my point though, right? Which is, He didn't challenge a play that he should have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He didn't challenge a play that he should have.
And then went for it. That's the second thing.
And he went for
Doubled
it
down
on the wrong side of the field when he shouldn't
He
have.
said, "Hit me."
Yep.
He was Staley.
You know,
He was
And then
literally
the third one
Staley.
was not going
Analytics
for it in
say.
the fourth quarter. There's
Right.
3 right there.
Yep.
And then on the, it's almost like he yo-yoed, like he almost he overcorrected his errors. So
Can't disagree.
He didn't challenge the play. He then went for it when he shouldn't have, and then he didn't go for it when he should have.
Yeah.
Mistake after mistake after mistake.
And I mean, like,
so sorry, Robert. I realize that I don't want to like take over this. I just
Oh,
my internet
you're good.
connection's finally back for like 5 minutes. So yay. But if someone feed the hamster. Jack, with regards to what we were talking about in the earlier stages here, with AP having kind of mentors that are there to kind of work with him, where were they? Like where were those?
That's another good question. Exactly. When they didn't throw that flag, who the hell is in charge of looking at that to tell him, hey, you need to throw the flag?
I mean, if
I don't know.
if I'm not
Did
not
he
trying to
lose it?
speak.
You know, it's
I'm not trying to speak for anyone here, but I would think that'd be the job of the assistant head coach and Marvin Lewis. That's just me. But
I mean, I'm pretty positive there is someone that's up top that is almost designated to rewatch any of sketchy plays and tell them, "Hey, throw it." And I didn't understand why they didn't like wait for that or decide, or I guess decide to do it, or no one told them. I don't know, unless he just thought, it's the Raider way. We're going for it. We're going to get it. I mean, I don't know.
Either that or the NFL really screwed up for the first time, and that yellow line was totally out of whack because it made no sense.
What was I going to say? It was your guys' ball. So it wasn't like the Chargers, got a generous spot and then they rushed up to the line and you guys had all the time in the world. You could have called a timeout. I mean,
in reality, we beat ourselves in this game. We really did. We beat ourselves. Chargers played way better than Chargers have in years past, and got to tip my hat to that. And I got to say, Harbaugh did impress. The defense impressed. But in reality, the Raiders had control of this game. But all those dumb things that they did, it was a Staley moment.
They Staley'd it.
I mean,
they Staley'd it. Yeah,
they go Deuce Staley.
As a Broncos fan, I can empathize with what you guys went through there. We had some similar moments with Hackett, and we also had some similar moments prior to that with some of our previous coaches who were over their skis when it came to making some of those decisions from a purely strategic perspective. Some of it with the Broncos, though, and I think this is a little bit different for the Raiders, but some of it for the Broncos was that there's too many cooks in the kitchen. So in the Fangio days, there was several people that were trying to have input and were infighting almost when it came to that kind of stuff. And Fangio was just kind of getting frustrated to say, like leave me the hell alone. Stop it. But he didn't have the full control that he needed in order to kind of run and steer the ship. I don't get the impression that AP has got a doesn't have a veto power, I guess is what I'm saying.
You don't say.
Very, very riveting.
I think we lost. I think his phone died.
I think
to come back.
I think we might have lost Rich.
I think so. And again, let's just go one more thing on that 4th and 1. If you can't run the ball, you got the double tight end set. You got a triple tight end set. Just think and dunk it.
I was shocked at how little they used Bowers in the short game. I thought for sure he would be somebody that would abuse our linebackers because he has the talent and just the frame to do it. And I mean, in essence, he did kind of. Yeah, I mean, he did kind of torch us in a way, like it wasn't, crazy numbers, but like you said, he, broke the Raiders rookie record for this first game. I think he actually had the second most receiving yards out of any tight end.
That's what I said.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he balled.
Yeah, so he had a great game,
Just
but
seeing a touchdown would have been nice.
Yeah, he must
be on your fantasy team then, right?
Yeah, a couple of them. Okay, he is.
I mean, to look at, I will say, although we won the game, there was definitely a lot of negatives to come out of it. The Chargers are absolutely going to be in the market for a tight end come trade deadline.
Yeah.
Will Dissly, 3 false starts in like the first quarter. That was awful, dude. I mean,
he's gonna get hurt here.
Yeah, I mean, so it was that was, and I mean, just too many flags in general. There was some calls that were not great, but this is supposed to be a crew that supposedly called the least amount of penalties in the entire league last year, and it did not look like that on Sunday. So yeah, so it was a rough in that essence to start. You already mentioned though, Kenna. I mean, Dobbins looked amazing in that back half of the game. 10 carries for $135, and 131 of those came in the second half.
Isn't he like the running back of the week?
Yeah.
I think that has to go to Saquon, but
yeah, that's true. I mean, Saquon he had a lot of receiving yards too, though. I think they're looking strictly pure runner. Although Joe Mixon had a great day too. But yeah, he balled out. That was awesome to see. Obviously, I know it's just one game, but if we could, 100%. DZ outlines it perfectly. I mean, this team is just. This is why I'm so high coming into this week, is because this was the first football week against a division rival, brand new head coach, brand new scheme, brand new defensive coordinator. Brand new, essentially a brand new team minus a couple of pieces here and there, and obviously Herbert. And I mean, they won the game by more than 2 scores. I mean, I came into this, last week's show saying, oh, this is going to be a 3-point game, it's going to be nip and tuck, like 1 score the entire way. And it was for the most part until, the Chargers kind of pulled away at the end. But this is a team that won the adjustment battle at halftime, which is something they have never been able to do consistently in the past. The O-line drastically improved in the second half. And I mean, Slater and Alt played fantastic all day. Alt wasn't as great in the run game. He definitely struggled a little bit there. But he was borderline
pretty good.
He was great. I am going to be, realistic. Like he had some rough,
maybe had some rookie moments, but talk about an ultimate test to go against an all-pro edge rusher and not give up any pressures.
18 snaps one-on-one with either Christian Wilkins or Joe Alt. 0 pressures allowed.
I mean, that's what you want out of. I mean, to be that technically sound in the pass protection 1 week into the NFL. I mean, it kind of goes to what DZ said. He's only going to get better. But yeah, Richie's emboldened that into my mind a little bit.
No, actually, we should have sat him and let him get some experience and learn and play a veteran.
Yeah, no. And like I said to Coach, because I mean that was this game was the only one I made an effort to switch over to outside of watching Red Zone, specifically to watch Joe Alt. And I mean, even the reps where he wasn't really doing much, he did them I specifically recall, I don't remember who was outside backer hot off the edge, and Joe Alt played it like perfectly, stabbed, whoever was the edge, it just like went. And I mean, you can't teach it better than that. No. And there's plenty of kids, plenty of guys in college like that don't do that. It don't have the cerebral component to analyze all that and know that's what I got to do. And that in the frame is what you want.
Big, that's strong, and
exactly.
And that's why Robert. I've been saying it. From the day I got on this show, and when you guys drafted him, I talked about him every single week, right? He's not a Raider. but he is a Notre Dame guy, so
He's an Irish.
he's an Irishman. And you know what? He is that impressive. He impressed me the hell out of me, at Notre Dame. And I look at all the offensive linemen, even like McGlinchey, he was a beast when he was at Notre Dame, but doesn't compare to all.
No.
And the thing of it too is, I mean, he's not even fully comfortable at right tackle.
I was just about to say that, Alex.
Mitchell Schwartz, I mean, pretty solid right tackle in his own way for the Chiefs and some other teams. Like he's a guy I follow on Twitter, and he's pretty good. I mean, if you want to know more about the intricacies of O-line and stuff, he's a good follow. But he kind of did a full breakdown and he was like, you can tell that he's not fully comfortable, and to see some of this stuff has to be really promising. And I mean, that's the big takeaway. And like I said to Coach watching it, I was like, I think Joe Alt might be the perfect offensive line specimen to go against someone like Crosby, because he's athletic enough to be able to stay with him when he does all his hustle runarounds. And you saw that. You saw that on display at least a couple times when I was watching. So, I mean, that has to be awesome.
How many times did I say, are they going to move Alt to the left side and move Slater to the right? I've asked that question several times.
Yeah.
Didn't even need to, because Slater played amazing as well. He didn't allow any pressures either. So to have
he's going against third and fourth stringers on that side. And those big runs all came from that side too. So
yeah, I mean it was absolutely probably the best debut you could hope for with Joe Alt. I mean, we said it going in with last week's show. This is the test right here. You got a top 3 D lineman or a D end in Max Crosby.
Carolina.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Dude, that game.
No, this was the test, man.
No, this was the test right here. And out the gate, to see him perform like that and really not even miss a beat is just, I mean, Chargers fans are extremely excited for this kid moving forward in the season. And I just wanted to talk to a little bit as well about Herbert's stats. This is going to be a regular this season. Herbert is not going to be throwing for no 300 yards, 3 tubs every game like he was with Staley. And while it was extremely fun to watch, the offense with Herbert just gunslinging it everywhere, we weren't winning. It was all essentially empty calories, because he would do all that and it'd be all for naught.
A bad time. Yeah, it was in garbage time.
Yeah, exactly. So Herbert has already proven to me that he's that dude. This season is going to be all about not turning the ball over, controlling time of possession, running the ball as much as you can, and only throwing it on play action or when you absolutely need to end of the game, you're down and you got to go make a drive. But I mean, I saw this stat, because not even a single receiver on our team that week or this past Sunday went for over or at 40 yards. Everybody was under 40.
McConkey,
he was putting some dudes
up there.
Yeah, put some dudes on skates out there. You saw that. That was nice. Oh, he's going to be great, man. I'm excited for him. But I wanted to get into Herbert scored. This was last season with Staley, and I was at this game against the Lions. Herbert scored touchdowns on 5 consecutive drives against the Lions last year, with 27 of 40, 333 yards passing in that game, and they lost. That is never going to be the case again, in terms of Herbert's never going to have those gaudy stats again, and we're not going to blow these games when the offense does perform and I know it didn't perform all game, but when it finally did perform, the defense didn't collapse as soon as it did. The defense held firm, started firm at the beginning.
That's the bigger takeaway, man. That's the sign that the culture shifted, right?
100%.
That played out almost to be the perfect Charger gonna Charger game, right?
Yep.
And that didn't happen. So they didn't
implode at the end of the game for sure.
Didn't.
Because Harbaugh did not.
Harbaugh. No.
Yeah, that's dude. No BS. I seriously think the new the term chargering under Harbaugh is gonna be these types of games. It's gonna be when we charger. It's gonna be we ran the ball freaking 30 times for 150 or whatever it's gonna be, and we controlled time of possession, kept the other star QB, whoever we're facing, off the field for as long as possible. Like, this is the formula for this team to compete and to win. Because when Herbert does get into those situations where it's like, all right, dude, go win us this game, he will be able to do that, and it's going to be on a much grander scale, because with Staley, it was if Herbert didn't play perfect, we were done. Yeah. We didn't have a chance because the defense wasn't going to bail us out. So if Herbert didn't play God, we were out. Now it's Herbert almost pretty much will never have to play God until some drives here at key moments against playoff caliber teams, and that's when he's going to be at his best, because we've seen him already, and it was in that Raiders game too, Jack. Remember that year you guys made the playoffs with Carr, came down to that last field goal in overtime? We saw Herbert in those clutch moments, and I mean, the dude just, he completed like 3 4th and longs on that final drive to tie the game up. And I mean, like, so the dude
that was the Madden play right there.
Yeah, so the dude has it. It's just now can the defense play for him, and he finally has a defense that is going to be able to compete and win games for him like he would do for the passing. Oh, yeah. I still think the passing game picks up as well, DZ. RPO is it's going to be a little bit tricky because, like we said, although Herbert said that the foot injury is gone, so I would like to see some more of that. It was week 1, so I didn't expect to see him, do a ton of running. And yeah, I mean, that's what DJ Chark was supposed to be, that true X receiver you could put on the outside. And unfortunately, he's down right now on the IR. We're not going to get him back till after our bye week.
So, Robert, I have a different question for you.
Let's hear
it. So, the one thing, looking at your wide receivers, and they don't scare anybody, but do you feel like after seeing what Keenan Allen did with the Bears, I mean,
nothing,
0.
Yeah,
I mean, do you feel like now that was a good move, or?
Oh, 100%. 100%, because why are you going to pay a wide receiver that much when it's clear your goal is to run the ball and pound the rock the entire way through? There's just no reason, and it makes sense why you go out and draft McConkey, cheap rookie cheap
athletic freak.
Cheap, yes, exactly. Play him, put him in the slot, and I mean, you just let him route run, and I mean, you saw a little bit of that with that touchdown he scored. The dude's quick on his feet, like he's got moves. So he's going to just improve as the season goes on. DJ Chark is supposed to be, like you said, and like DZ said, that X outside wide receiver. He's injured, so we're going to get him back after the bye, after,
Quentin Johnston.
Quint
Manifest.
You know what, man? He played all right.
He played better than last year.
Much better than he did last year. Oh, my God. He still had... Although I will say his 2 drops were some pretty tough catches. One where he was pretty much out of bounds already, and the other one he had the corner right on him, and he caught it, but corner just was able, he caught it so out in the open that the corner was able to just slap it. So not hurting him too bad for that, but already and he's the best example of this. The coaching staff is gonna make so many of these other players elevate in their talent just because in terms of positioning for them. Like QJ had so many good routes designed for him in this game on this game on Sunday. And I mean, he had that one, it was like a 3rd and like 18 or something. He had a shallow cross over the middle, picking up like another, I think he picked up like 10 or 15 on that to get us in field goal range. So I think it's just going to be a lot of scheming with him and scheming him open. He's not good enough to get open on his own, but you can absolutely design some routes for him and design some plays to get him open. And then just please catch the goddamn ball. But yeah, that was,
he had a big drop.
Yeah, the one on the sideline. Yeah, that was the only one, and even then it could have been worse. I've seen him drop worse ones than that, so I'm not like, it's not the end of the world, but he definitely needs to improve it, and I think his playing time will go down a lot once Chark comes back. But I wanted to get your opinion on this, Jack. What was up with Crosby and Wilkins kind of getting physical there on that 2-point conversion afterwards, man. I was like, this game's over, and they're still trying to start shit.
It all started with was it your wide receiver and Jack Jones?
Oh yeah,
I think they kind of started it off, and they were just coming in there, and it's like, hey, you're going to start doing this, and we're gonna come after you. So we saw it. It was a physical game. Guys are pushing each other. I'm sure they were doing that the whole game, and it's like, okay, we're getting frustrated. We're frustrated.
Yeah,
we don't, which is you got to have some discipline. That's growing up as a Raiders fan in the '70s. Okay, that's what you expected, but that's not what we want to be anymore, because we don't want those penalties. And you know what? Thank God that none of our players are got suspensions out of it.
Yeah, I'm shocked nobody got suspended in that.
Yeah.
Like anybody,
First week, man.
Yeah, I know, but there was some
Tigers out of the cage.
Yeah, there was definitely some slightly open-handed punches being thrown between both teams. Like it was
tossing each other. Yeah,
there was a lot of shit talking. Like you said, this was a classic AFC West game. But and this is going to be a bold take. I know Raiders fans are going to hate me for this, but we're sweeping the Raiders this year, man. If that's how we performed week one, and Herbert, hey man,
we're not. It ain't gonna happen. We're not gonna turn the ball over 4 times. 4 times. You got 2 first downs in the first half,
and we were still only down by a point.
But we turned the ball over 4 times. So it ain't going to happen. We're going to turn the ball over 4 times.
The beauty of it is you guys play week 18, so we will
absolutely
get to see the full maturity or decline.
And when's the last time the Chargers swept the Raiders? I don't know the last time they haven't split.
Oh, man.
1973.
That's a good one, actually. I don't even know. Yeah.
I don't know. Were you even born yet, Robert?
No, I definitely have seen the Chargers sweep the Raiders in my lifetime. I just
sure about
know.
that?
Yeah, no.
You better not open your mouth until you actually look it up. I know you look at your eyeballs. You're looking it up right now.
I am looking it up right now.
Look at the eyes. I'm looking it up.
Yeah,
too.
2018. Yeah, that was the year we went to the playoffs. 2018 with Anthony Lynn, we swept you guys. That was the year we also beat the Chiefs in Kansas City.
So I was at that game.
So you were what, about 15?
I was 18. Get out of here. I was born in 2000. Whatever. No, it was a great game. It was like you said, hard-nosed, tough-nosed football. I loved a lot more than what I hated seeing from this team. And I mean, we're set up for what should be a pretty easy 2-0 because we're going against the Panthers this week, and they are by far the worst team in the league. It's not even close.
And DZ, I do remember that. I mean, you guys had LT.
Yeah.
LT was a beast.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it's a great start for this Chargers for the Harbaugh era, I should say. Anytime you can beat a division rival, it's a great feeling. Anytime you get to beat a division rival at home in week 1, that's a great feeling. So it's, all positive vibes moving forward. Defense, I mean, night and day different, man. I am so happy to see that Herbert finally has a defense that can bail him out sometimes and not have it be the other way around.
What makes it even more impressive, Robert, is that you beat it with mostly Raiders fans in attendance.
Yeah, It wasn't a home game for you. Remember that?
Nope.
I said.
No, but Robert, like Alex made a joke, but in reality, if we are going to be honest, when you look at that video footage that was there,
it's like 7.
The blackout.
There was more silver and black than there was powder blue. I'm sorry, but it's a fact.
A lot of people went home crying that day.
So
enjoy it, savor it, because there's going to be some revenge coming in week 18.
Big boy.
I'm looking forward to it, Jack, very much so.
I do think that the next Chargers-Raiders matchup is going to be even more physical than what you saw this past game.
Oh yeah,
and
could have bigger implications to it.
And it's going to have bigger implications, I think, as well. I agree. I think that what we saw from this Chargers team is Harbaugh isn't going to have a slump. There was a big question after we saw in preseason, which was questionable play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Chargers did not look great.
And Herbert was injured. Yeah, no, you're right.
You didn't look it. And so the question ultimately was going to be, can Harbaugh flip things around fast enough and right the ship? Yes or no? He certainly came out in a game that mattered most. A divisional rival, because let's be honest, like that was like a game that counts as like 2, right? Beating a divisional rival and the first game. That is a legitimate tone setter, no question about it, no doubt. AP lost a huge opportunity because he had the ability to come out and say, no, don't worry about it. Like, I am the guy. I am the one that you should have put your faith in. And, while it wasn't blow the doors off, run him out of town sort of thing, he certainly left far more on the table than he should have.
He left a lot of question marks, Richie. It's like a lot of the stuff that he did is questionable, and everyone right now is more so on Gatsby. Going, can this guy actually be a coordinator? He wasn't the guy we wanted. He was the backup. We lost out on Kingsbury. And so, because Kingsbury wanted 3 years, but you can't give your offensive coordinator 3 years when your head coach has only got 2 years.
Yes, you can.
So,
well, you can.
If you want
you
to
can.
be the head coach.
It's up to your owner on whether or not he's willing to give potential dead money.
Raiders have had a lot of dead money. John Gruden, 10 years, $100 million?
But that's not applied towards the cap, right?
No, it doesn't go against the cap, but it's just your money. It's just your money, though. It's just money. And then,
overhead costs.
McDaniels, whatever he got.
Just write it off.
But it is crazy. I did see something, they talked about like NFL tickets. And, the prices, going up, and, with inflation, like everything's going up inflation-wise. So the league is like 44% as a whole. The Raiders are like almost like over like 200% or something ridiculous. It's like cost you like over 2 times what you paid for. Again, it was Oakland versus Las Vegas, which is a destination place, brand new stadium, all that jazz. But it's like, Robert, you saw a bunch of Raider fans in your home stadium. Well, it's a shitload cheaper to go to Los Angeles to see a game there than go to Vegas.
Yep. And, I know the whole thing about like the Chargers don't have a fan base, whatever, but I think this year more than ever with Harbaugh as our head coach, it's just not going to matter, man. Like, we could get 95-5 in our own building, and I don't think Harbaugh is going to even like ever bat an eye. Like, this identity of this team, just in the week 1 that we saw, and it's like you said, Rich, it's a big accomplishment this early against a division rival when you already, have all these changes to the coaching staff and really to the entire front office. Like, it was just a complete overhaul of, basically everybody but the players. So yeah, it was a great game, a gritty win, a huge win for this team early on. I think if there was anybody on this team that for whatever reason wasn't bought into Harbaugh, they are now after that win. So this is just going to be, I'm I'm even more excited than I was a week ago about the entire year this year and how this team is going to perform.
I kind of agree that the Chargers are on a different trajectory now than what I thought they would be. I thought it was going to be a slower, bumpier start.
Yeah.
Now
things were accelerating.
What will be interesting to see if guys that have been, I'm trying to be kind, just given the fact that you guys actually played so well. guys that are traditionally injury prone, likely because they enjoy fruity beverages like Bosa.
Well, it is week 1. Wait until week 2.
So, I mean, Bosa enjoys his like cherry seltzers and other drinks, which is like
low calorie
injuries. Yeah, sure. You can say what you want, Alex, but let's just be honest. That's questionable for a dude. Anyways, when you have Bosa who's oft injured, and that's not even that big of a dig. That's just a fact at this point. That's just a fact. So he played such a pivotal role in that win against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Is he able to sustain his health under a new regime that may be doing things differently? I think that's a fair question because he's only really ever known, for the most part, one type of strength and conditioning, generally speaking, for the Chargers. Mm-hmm. And has the Harbaugh regime changed Bosa's career trajectory? I guess would even be a fair statement.
Well, did they change trainers?
Yeah, they did. Ben Herbert is our strength and conditioning coach now from Michigan as well.
Justin's dad. I'm kidding.
So Jack, that's kind of why I mentioned it, right? Which is under the Harbaugh, they've changed quite a number of things, and it will be very interesting to see if a guy like Bosa, if a guy like Mac, if a guy, other guys that are traditional. Derwin James is another one who's often injured now as well. Has this regime change altered how and why they're doing things to such an extent that these guys that were maybe seen as, last ditch last season and they're done, have we now seen a change in their value to the team? Like,
I mean,
is this something that could really change the trajectory now? Because Derwin James is certainly on the Joey Bosa, or was seen as on the Joey Bosa track, which is exceptionally skilled player, but the dude can't stay healthy and stay on the field.
Yeah, for Derwin, it was tough because he had that amazing rookie year where he was all pro. And then, like you said, he had the back-to-back seasons with injury. So it was really tough to, it was basically like the Keenan Allen situation where he balls out his rookie year and then 2 out of the next 3 years, he's done for the season very early on. But I think, Rich, that's ultimately the biggest question mark for this team is how healthy are they going to stay? But I believe with Ben Herbert and, just the collective culture switch of this team, I feel like a lot of guys are going to want to play more. I feel like back then with Staley, if you got hurt, it was almost like, well, what are we really playing for? We're not going anywhere. So, let me just take it easy and I'll sit for a week or two. I mean, you saw that with Keenan Allen, when he got hurt last season, or I'm sorry, when Herbert got injured last season to end his season, and Keenan was like, all right, y'all, like, I'm, gonna call it quits, So I think it's gonna be sorry, coach. Yeah. But yeah, I just it was a thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So yeah, it was a great game for the boys in blue.
So Robert, let's just quickly go through a very quick roundtable to wrap up the show. Quick, while Alex is here, he's got to really run. He really does. Coach is harping here in the chat, as we just said.
Get your butt over here.
We've had some great games this past week. I expect more of the same. Alex, start with you real quick. What do you predict for week 2 in terms of general score and maybe just a quick 1 or 2 point thing of what you're expecting from your team?
Yeah. So, obviously Bengals played like trash against the Patriots. I don't predict them to play like trash against the Chiefs. I still am not – I don't think that they have enough to compete like they have in years past. I still think it'll probably be a close, hard-fought game, but ultimately Chiefs win. I'll say – probably pretty similar to Ravens game in like 28-21. It'll be a comfortable 1-score win. But I think we do see improvement from the Bengals.
Awesome. I'm going to go next. I'm going to be equally as brief as Alex there as well. I actually see a loss for my Denver Broncos again this week here. I think that the Steelers defense is again going to cause some similar issues to what we saw from the Seahawks, except in my opinion, I actually think that the defensive front for the Steelers is actually even more elevated than the Seahawks front. So I think that's going to cause even more issues for Bo Nix, something that he's not necessarily used to at the NFL level or even at the college level. He's always been able to overcome it. I think he will improve week over week. I think we're going to see benefits from him. But again, if you're getting better, but then the competition is also elevating, you're going to look probably somewhat similar to what you look like in week one, just because everything has kind of gotten more difficult for you as a result. I see a 27-21 loss for the Denver Broncos, somewhere in that general kind of sliding scale in terms of score. And then I do think things start to turn around a little bit as we start getting into 3 through the rest of the season, where the Broncos will start to improve and then start winning games where others thought we wouldn't. But either way, that's kind of my prediction for the Steelers game. Jack, over to you for your week 2 prediction.
Well, I hate to say it.
Head out.
Gonna be.
I'm not hitting it.
Hey,
I
Alex.
got it. Right button. I got it.
Yeah. Don't end the stream this time.
So I hate to say it. I see a loss for the Raiders this week. I just look at how Baltimore played against a high-powered offense. The Raiders don't have a high-powered offense, so they're going to have more opportunities. No, I don't predict there's going to be 4 turnovers. Like what they did. So I actually have another double-digit loss now. I have it 24-13. I just don't see them being able to keep up.
That's fair. I think that's fair. The Ravens are one heck of a team. They are. I'm sorry, they just are.
They're great. They're really good on offense. They're really good on defense, and I just think they'll have a lot more opportunities. I think again, it's the Raiders' offense is going to struggle. I think the Raiders' defense is going to do well, and I think it's going to be better than what Kansas City is. Sorry, Alex. I think my Raider defense is better than Kansas City's defense. So that's only knocked it down 3 points from what they got. So 24-13 is what I have.
Robert, over to you, and then we'll close out the show.
Yeah, I will say I'm much more positive for my team this week than I was going into last week. We're taking on, like I mentioned earlier, quite possibly the worst team, and probably will be the worst team in the league for years to come, the Panthers.
Tell your mom to take this team, right? Take it this week.
No, we're out. We took the Bengals. We're out.
So it's one and done then.
It's survivor pool. You're 1 and out. Yep. So we're done. That was it. Bengals killed us in that one. But yeah, I think it's gonna be, and I can say this finally for once for this team, it's gonna be a blowout. I mean, the Panthers they can't do anything that we're not great at. They can't run the ball less than 4 yards a carry for their entire rushing attack last week against the Saints. They can't throw the ball. Bryce Young threw a pick in his first pass attempt in the season and another one later. And so, their defense is terrible. They just lost their best defensive player in Derek Brown.
It's good to say that. Yep.
Season-ending IR. So, there's just nothing. Like, if we lose this game, I will take back everything I said about the Harbaugh team with the Raiders, because there is zero excuse after that defensive performance you just put on. And I know the Raiders' offense isn't great. It ain't as bad as the Panthers. So I'm definitely saying blowout here. It's going to be like 28-6 maybe. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if we shut them out touchdown wise.
I can actually see that given your defensive play.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that
see it too.
the only thing you have to be careful with is a desperate team, kind of playing
home opener,
playing desperately. So I would be careful of something like that, where a guy like a Bosa or
don't look until the week after. Just
no, yeah.
But I don't see that with Harbaugh. So.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Harbaugh's not going to let this team look ahead.
But my point is, your veteran guys that are well, I've been around the block and know better. So your Joey Bosa's, your Derwin James type guys, they're going to have a bit of a know-it-all mentality, and whether or not they're willing to listen fully to the new coaching regime is questionable.
Yeah.
But I just think you guys are able to bounce back and continue it, because a more competitive AFC West is better for all of us. It forces the entire division to elevate. And ideally, I'd love for 4 of our teams to make it into the playoffs, because I do think that we are certainly edging in that direction as a collective talent pool within the division. We have coaches, quarterbacks, and our rosters are starting to level
Defenses.
up to that point. So, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we have the prediction of a Chiefs win, the prediction of a Chargers win, and then Raiders and Broncos losses by both Jack and I. So it's kind of a 2-2 mixed bag on the show. Obviously, Jack and I would love to be wrong.
Absolutely.
If we're perfectly blind. But this is not a show where we're gonna kind of blow smoke and pretend. I think we need to be honest with ourselves in terms of what we're going to expect. If any of the fans of the show have any questions or comments, you can leave those down below in any of the videos that you are watching us on. And if you can jump on and click on the links in the description to come over and like and subscribe to the channels that are directly below, it helps us grow the show and reach more fans of the AFC West that are just like you. And guys, until next week, where the West side is the best side. Peace.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simple.